All right, Ravens flock. My apologies for getting this out late at night, but it's been a long day and I did not come home early from work today. Either way, I'm going to get it out today, and we're going to keep this short, sweet, and simple because there was not much to really talk about here. So day 3 of official practice for training camp here for the Ravens, and let's just say today was probably just... how do I put this? It truly fit the dog days of summer, man. It was a dry practice. Not really eventful. Nothing really to take away from, the practice as a whole in terms of any major highlights, Apparently today was the longest practice they had of the 3 practices, so obviously they're starting to ramp up. They won't be able to put the pads on till Monday, so that should be a fun one. But not much to really talk about here today. In terms of who won, it was clear the defense won because the defense made plays, so that was at least cool. There's only really 2 people to speak of here, and we'll talk about those 2 people. But offensively, there's not much of anything. They couldn't really do much of anything. They weren't really moving the ball. Lamar didn't have his best of days. In fact, of the 3 practices, it's probably the worst practice he had of the 3 days. But again, it's Lamar. He's in year 8. You're going to have bad practices. That's what training camp's for. You're going to have good days. You're going to have great days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have awful days. And today's one of those days where the offense as a whole didn't have anything going. What made it worse, and probably the biggest aspect to speak of, was the offensive line. They struggled today. They had multiple false start penalties. They weren't exactly the best as a unit, and they still do struggle with that aspect, which is something we're going to have to keep track of because this offensive line needs to be where they need to be ready to go week 1. They have to be ready to go week 1, and they have to be at the standard that you expect that you hope this offensive line can be. Because if they're not operating well as a unit, the Ravens are going to be in trouble early on. So if these guys are struggling early on and they're committing penalties the same way they were doing last year, it's just going to kill drives. But again, it's practice. You expect mistakes to happen in practice. No one's ever going to be perfect in practice. That's why it's practice. So they got plenty of time to fix it. It was just a bad day for the offense today. Not much to really say here. There was not much to say here because not much really happened. It was really a defensive day. As for the defense, not much was going on there from the defensive side. It was kind of just a lot of short throws for Lamar. So not just a lot of tackling there, a lot of stops there, nothing really happening there. But there was one player that was able to stand out. And man, this was his best practice of the 3 practices. And boy, did he need it, considering the fact that we love to overreact as Ravens fans and try to make blanket statements based off of these small assessments at training camp. Nate Wiggins was the star of the show for the defense today. He had 3 pass breakups. He had a run stuff. The guy was making plays all day. He was all over the field. Great to see him have his best day of practice after what happened yesterday when he was the guy that got beat by Bateman for that 60-yard touchdown. So to see him come back the next day, play at a high level, make a lot of great defensive plays, it's great to see. Other than that, not much to talk about defensively, not much to talk about offensively. It was just one of those blah practices. Like, we practiced, we went at it, we were highly competitive, but not much really came from it. It was just one of those days. So, you expect it. It's training camp, but it's great to see that Nate Wiggins was making plays and he had his strongest day of the 3 practices. So hopefully he can continue to ramp that up as training camp goes. Other than Nate Wiggins, the only star of the show to talk about would have to be the rookie kicker, Tyler Loop. He made all 10 of his kicks. He had 10 kicks, which, of course, he would be making a lot of kicks considering the fact the offense was not moving the ball. But he made all 10 of his kicks today. He was 10 of 10 on his kicks. And he actually made a 63-yard field goal in practice, so it's great to see that he's got that strong leg. I know a lot of people are going to be, very cautious and very concerned about the kicking spot because we don't know how that's going to go, which is why the competition is very vital, important to figure out who is going to be that kicker. They drafted Luke, but if he's not up to the challenge, they will have to look somewhere else. Thankfully, so far through training camp, he is up to the challenge, and the man has been making his kicks. I like what I'm seeing from Tyler Loop. He's just got to keep it up. It's practice. Obviously, practice is different from game time situations when you got to deal with that pressure where you got to make these kicks or we're going to lose the game. When you get into those type of situations, we'll see how Loop does. And I hope he gets to play in the preseason. In fact, I expect him to play in the preseason. And I'm not going to lie. For the preseason, I don't really care about scoring touchdowns. I actually hope that Tyler Loop has as many field goals as possible this preseason. We need to see him in game time situations. If the Ravens are just scoring touchdowns or punting the ball, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing in this circumstance because the preseason doesn't matter. We have to be able to assess Loop's ability to kick in pressure time situations, and the preseason will give him the opportunity to do so. So I hope this is a preseason where it's just nothing but field goals for the Ravens offense because we need to see what this guy can do in game time. So far in practice, he's been killing it. I hope he keeps it up, and I can't wait to see what he does in the preseason. But, you know, it's just practice and game time is drastically different when it comes to kicking. So I have to see what this guy's going to do in the preseason, and I hope he's able to answer the call in pressure time situations because if he can do that, that will give us an indicator of what he could potentially do in the regular season. Hopefully, we won't need them in the postseason, but that's a different conversation. We're not going to talk about that right now. But yeah, other than that, not much to really talk about, guys. Those were the only two to really discuss. No one else was really doing much. I think they said the rookie Peebles was also a little bit active. He's making some plays and stopping the run as well, so it's great to see his name be brought up. But other than that, it was a whole bunch of nothing. Practice didn't really lead to a lot of highlights. Yesterday, it was all about the highlights on both sides. Today, it was more of a quiet day. You're going to get those type of days. You're going to get those type of moments in practice. It is what it is. Other than that, Kyle Hamilton, he met with the media, and he had high praise for Malachi Starks. The highest praise you could have. Kyle Hamilton saying that Malachi Starks is waves ahead of him compared to what he was in his rookie season. Him saying he's miles ahead of him at this stage really makes me happy because it makes me believe this guy come week one is just going to be ready to go. If Kyle Hamilton is seeing him do that, and we're hearing about him making plays because he had an interception off of Lamar yesterday. He's making plays. He's making stops. He's showcasing his capability. And Kyle Hamilton is talking about how miles ahead he is right now compared to what Hamilton was as a rookie. All that can do is just excite me and the rest of the Ravens flock because it makes us believe he's going to be ready come week one. And he's just going to fit in perfectly and do whatever he needs to do to get his job done. Him and Hamilton are going to be an elite duo. We feel that. So to see him making plays early on and to see the praise from Kyle Hamilton, that's great. Other than that, he had a lot of high praise for Nate Wiggins as well. So that was great to see. He's truly high on Nate Wiggins, just like we all are. And he believes Nate Wiggins could be one of the best corners in the league. And I would agree with that. I think Nate Wiggins has the tools to do so. And I'm expecting a big year from him. So hopefully we will see that. Last but not least, he spoke on Jaire Alexander and said that Jaire brings an element of he brings a different element to the defense that was missing. So that's another aspect that you love to see. Jaire's been making his name known throughout the entirety of training camp so far. He continues to make plays. That's just what we expect to see from him. So great stuff from Kyle Hamilton meeting with the media. Great stuff from Nate Wiggins. Great stuff from Tyler Loop. And I'm telling you guys, I really hope the Ravens offense is forced to settle for field goals all throughout the preseason because I need to see Loop consistently kicking in pressure time game situations. And yes, it's the preseason, but at least it's some form of game time situation as opposed to him doing it in practice. Anyway, I'm not going to waste too much of your time. We're going to end it here. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 4, and we'll see how things go. I'll try to get that out a little bit earlier. We'll just have to see how things go. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Be sure to stay safe, and peace out.